Drinking water at night could be killing you. It's not just the nuisance of getting up to use the bathroom. Those constant trips may be the silent signal that something far more dangerous is hiding inside your body. I am Dr. Ana Esperanza, a urologist with over 20 years of experience, and I've seen thousands of people suffer from this hidden curse. Today, I'm going to reveal the forbidden technique urologists share only with their patients, a 5-step method that can give you back your nights and protect your health. But first, tell me in the comments below, how many times do you wake up each night to urinate? Write your number now. Stay with me until the end, because I will expose the deadly detail that turns a simple glass of water into an invisible sentence of sleepless nights and hidden risks to your life. Picture the scene. The house is silent. The clock reads 3 a.m., and you awaken again. The air is heavy, the darkness complete, and yet your body feels compelled to move. Your bladder presses like a siren hidden deep inside, impossible to ignore. You swing your legs out of bed, your feet touch the cold floor, and you shuffle down the hallway. The wood creaks beneath you. Every step feels like a test, your balance fragile, your eyes straining to find the bathroom door. You make the same unwanted journey you've made countless nights before. Relief comes briefly, but when you return to bed, the restorative tide of sleep refuses to carry you back. The mind begins to race, the clock ticks forward, and when dawn finally arrives, you are already exhausted, drained before the day even begins. For millions, this ritual has become a silent prison. They shrug and say, "It's just part of getting older," but that acceptance is a mistake. Nocturnal awakenings are not harmless. They are a silent thief, stealing vitality one fragment at a time. What seems like a nuisance is actually a slow erosion of your clarity, your energy, your safety, because every trip in the dead of night is more than an interruption. It is a warning, and sometimes it is the beginning of a fall that can shatter your independence forever. So the question demands an answer. Why does this happen? Why are so many people forced into this nightly ritual, their bodies betraying them in the hours meant for healing? The truth lies in what I call dangerous illusions, beliefs that sound logical, but lead only deeper into the trap. The first myth is seductive. If I drink less water, I won't need to get up. Many cling to this as if it were common sense, but it is a trap, and perhaps the most damaging of all. When your body receives too little water, it shifts into emergency mode. Your urine becomes dark, acidic, irritating to the bladder walls. Imagine pouring lemon juice onto an open wound. That's what concentrated urine does inside you. It triggers false alarms, urgent signals that push you to the bathroom even when your bladder is far from full. I recall a patient who prided himself on hardly drinking at all after lunchtime. He thought he had solved the problem, yet he was waking 4 or 5 times a night. His bladder wasn't the culprit. His concentrated urine had turned it into a raw, hypersensitive sensor. Ironically, the very act of withholding water had doomed him. And when you finally give in to thirst later in the day, when your body, parched, begs for relief, what happens? You drink rapidly, desperate. Your system, starved of fluid, processes it all at once. And that means the kidneys, those tireless factories, are in full production mode at precisely the wrong time, in the middle of the night, when you need them silent. The second myth offers a different excuse. I've always had a small bladder. People cling to this identity as though it explained everything. But the truth is harsher. In the majority of cases, bladder size has little to do with it. The real issue lies higher up the chain, in the kidneys themselves. At night, your body is supposed to release a hormone, ADH, the antidiuretic, which acts like a brake. It tells the kidneys, slow down, let the body rest. But with age, this brake weakens, ADH levels fall, and with no brake, the factory runs unchecked. You could have the largest bladder in the world, and it would still overflow if the machines never stopped producing. One woman I met insisted she had been born with a tiny bladder, but testing showed her bladder capacity was completely normal. What failed her was her hormone production. She didn't need a bigger reservoir. She needed the factory to slow down. And then comes the third myth, cloaked in comfort. A glass of wine helps me sleep. Many believe this harmless ritual eases them into rest. But it is a lie, one of the most dangerous. Alcohol is a double-edged blade. Yes, it can lull you into drowsiness, but it simultaneously sabotages the very hormone, ADH, that protects your nights. It disables the brake. You drink, you feel relaxed, but behind the scenes, your kidneys switch to overdrive. That single glass is not a gentle sedative. It is a chemical trigger, programming your body to wake in the second half of the night, precisely when you are most vulnerable. I once heard a man laugh as he admitted his nightly nightcap habit. He thought it harmless. But when we looked closely, it was the very ritual chaining him to 2 a.m. awakenings. What he believed was his comfort was actually his torment. These 3 illusions, drinking too little, blaming the bladder, trusting alcohol, are invisible chains. Chains that bind millions to broken nights, to foggy mornings, to lives lived in quiet exhaustion. Chains that remain because they sound logical. But here is the darker truth. Every night you accept these awakenings as normal, consequences are accumulating in silence. Each interruption steals not just minutes, but essential processes. Deep sleep, the stage when your brain repairs itself, is repeatedly fractured. Toxins build up like garbage in an abandoned alley. The brain, denied its nightly cleansing, falters. Confusion, memory lapses, an inability to focus. These are not quirks of aging. They are the scars of broken sleep, and the longer it continues, the greater the shadow it casts. Increased risk of neurodegenerative disease. But the brain is not alone in paying the price. The heart suffers too. Each time you are jolted awake, your body surges with stress hormones. Your blood pressure spikes, your heart pounds, your vessels tighten. Once or twice may not matter, but repeat this 2, 3, 4 times every night for years. It is a silent assault on the very organ that keeps you alive. Hypertension, arrhythmias, heart failure. The seeds are planted in the darkness, watered by each broken night. And then there is the danger you can see and feel, the stumble in the dark. Walking half asleep through a hallway is like navigating a minefield blindfolded. A rug, a table, a single misstep. The result can be catastrophic. For an older adult, a fractured hip is not just an injury. It is a turning point, a doorway into decline, dependency, and despair. This is the truth few dare to speak. Nocturia is not just an inconvenience. It is a thief of life. To cling to the myths is to leave your door open, night after night, for that thief to enter and strip you of another piece of yourself. So the question lingers, is there a way out? Can the chains be broken? Can you reclaim the sleep you thought lost to time? The answer exists, but not in the way you expect. Because while most continue down the same dead-end paths, there is a hidden method, whispered quietly in clinics, passed from doctor to patient like contraband knowledge. A 5-step strategy that redefines not just how you drink water, but how your body orchestrates sleep, energy, and vitality itself. And it begins precisely where everyone else goes wrong. But this is only the surface. What few truly understand is that waking at night to urinate is not just an annoyance. Each trip carries hidden messages, coded signals your body is trying to send you, and when those signals are ignored, they can evolve into personal tragedies. Every abrupt awakening rips your brain out of a vital cycle of sleep. It's like halting delicate surgery in the middle of the procedure. Deprived of deep rest, the brain loses its chance to repair connections, consolidate memories, flush toxins. Week after week, this invisible debt builds into a fog that clouds your life. At first, you forget a name. Then you lose track of an appointment. And one day, you catch yourself wondering, what's happening to me? Your very identity begins to fray in the shadows of the night. And it doesn't stop there. Each time your body is shocked awake, it releases stress hormones. Your heart races, your blood pressure spikes, your bloodstream floods with adrenaline. One episode may seem harmless, but repeat it 2, 3, 4 times each night, and you create a storm, a silent hurricane tearing through your cardiovascular system. It is as if you are tightening a rope each night, closer and closer to breaking. The heart was not designed to live in constant alert. It craves calm, stability, rhythm. Instead, every interruption is a violent jolt, a blow against its defenses. For years, I have seen patients who developed high blood pressure, irregular rhythms, even heart failure, not because of daytime stress, but because their nights had become battlegrounds. And as if the brain and heart weren't enough, there is the danger of the body itself. Walking half asleep in the dark is playing Russian roulette with your own bones. A rug, a chair, a single misstep, all it takes. For an older adult, a fractured hip is not simply pain. It is the beginning of the end of independence. Hospitals are filled with men and women who once walked proudly, but are now confined to beds or wheelchairs because of one misjudged step in the darkness. Many never recover. But the most sinister consequence lurks in the emotions. Broken nights steal joy itself. They fuel irritability, anxiety, depression. The world loses its color, and what remains is a shadow of the person you once were. Couples that once shared a bed now sleep apart. Families that once laughed together begin to feel distance grow. Nocturia doesn't just fracture sleep. It fractures bonds, identities, lives. And then there is the secret fear. Many who wake multiple times admit something darker. They dread not being able to fall back asleep. They lie in bed with pounding hearts, thoughts racing, trapped in spirals of panic. Others whisper a fear more chilling still. They are afraid they will not survive the night. The silence of the dark becomes a reminder of mortality itself. But behind all these visible consequences lies something stranger, something hidden. Years ago, an unusual case began circulating among specialists, almost like a legend. An elderly patient, seemingly healthy, reported waking at precisely the same times every night, always between 2 and 4 in the morning, as if his body were programmed to destroy his rest. Intrigued, doctors decided to monitor him in secret, night after night. What they discovered was not curious, it was disturbing. The cameras revealed that in the first hours, his body behaved normally. But at the same exact time each night, a pattern emerged. His kidneys surged into overproduction. Just as his brain tried to descend into deep sleep, his bladder filled like clockwork. Further analysis uncovered something more unsettling still. Tiny hormonal shifts, nearly invisible, always coinciding with the same window of time. Instead of releasing ADH, the antidiuretic hormone meant to silence urine production during the night, his body did the opposite. The break was not just weak, it was reversed. Fluid that had pooled in his legs during the day suddenly returned to circulation, poured through his kidneys, and crashed into his bladder. The trigger? Small sips of water late at night, seemingly harmless, but in truth, catastrophic. And this patient was not unique. Old hospital records, buried in dust, contained scattered notes of others, always dismissed, never deeply studied. Doctors described a reversed clock, a hidden mechanism turning against its host, as if the body itself had programmed its own torture. One physician even wrote in his private clinical journal, "It is as if the body had learned to wake itself by design, betraying its own need for rest." Those words, hidden in yellowed files, lingered like a whisper of a mystery unsolved. Imagine being imprisoned by such an invisible clock. Each night, at the same hour, your own physiology betrays you. That is not normal aging. That is an inner enemy, a mechanism that sabotages your nights like a silent executioner. And there were more eerie observations. Some noted that the cycle worsened with specific evening foods, soups, water-rich fruits, sugary desserts. The body reacted as if under attack, triggering nocturnal overproduction of urine just when sleep was most vulnerable. Food itself became an accomplice to the late-night sip. The case was filed away, almost forgotten. But for those who studied it, the lesson was unmistakable. It is not merely about how much you drink. It is about when, about how, about a secret code your body obeys, whether you realize it or not. And here is the most unsettling truth. While most of the world shrugs and accepts nocturia as part of aging, this hidden pattern continues to operate in silence. And what if that reversed clock is inside you too? What if every night you rise, it is not chance, but a mechanism quietly programmed by mistakes you never knew you made? The most terrifying part is this. Knowledge of this hidden clock has never been widely shared, perhaps because it seems too simple to take seriously, or perhaps because it threatens interests that profit from keeping you chained to broken nights. But it exists, and its existence changes everything. And what you have just heard is still not the worst. Up to this point, we've torn apart the most dangerous illusions. Drinking less water does not save you. Blaming your bladder is a false excuse, and trusting alcohol is a trap. But recognizing myths alone is not enough. It's like realizing you are locked in a cell without knowing where the key is. The next step is finding the way out. And here is where the story turns darker. Because most people keep trying to solve nocturia with shallow fixes. They cut liquids abruptly, enduring nights of forced thirst, yet still wake up. They reach for sleeping pills, sinking into a chemical haze, but their bladders continue to send alarms. They chase folk remedies they've read online, and all they collect is disappointment. Some even accept it as a punishment of age, surrendering without a fight. But a few, often by accident, stumble onto a different path. A protocol whispered in certain clinics, shared quietly between doctor and patient, as if it were forbidden knowledge. A method not based on magic but on physiology itself. It does not promise instant miracles. It is subtle, strategic. It works by retraining the body's hidden clock. The transformations it produces are described like rebirths. One man, who had woken 4 or 5 times every night for decades, discovered that by front-loading his hydration in the morning, he began to sleep straight through until dawn. Another, whose ankles swelled daily, started elevating his legs before bedtime. Within days, he was sleeping 6 uninterrupted hours, something he hadn't experienced since his youth. A retired teacher, 68 years old, confessed through tears that she finally slept an entire night without fear of stumbling in the hallway. For her, the change was not just physical. She said she had begun dreaming again, real dreams, vivid, colorful, that had vanished years ago. She felt as if she had recovered a lost fragment of her soul. A man in his 70s admitted that shame had driven him into a separate bedroom. His wife, exhausted by his constant waking, had left him alone. But after he managed 2 nights of unbroken sleep, she returned to his side. "I didn't just get my rest back," he said. "I got my marriage back." His voice trembled, not from weakness, but from the weight of regained dignity. And there are other unexpected cases. A 55-year-old man, overweight, assumed his nightly awakenings were inevitable with age, but the true culprit was his evening sodas. Once he eliminated them, he slept a full week without interruption. A 70-year-old woman, passionate about gardening, had given up traveling for fear of embarrassment from constant bathroom trips. After following the protocol, she managed an 8-hour bus ride without issue. "I didn't just get my sleep back," she told me. "I got my freedom back." Another patient, a grandfather, used to dread family gatherings because his fatigue made him irritable. After weeks on the protocol, he began laughing again, chasing his grandchildren in the yard. His daughter said, "It feels like I got my father back." These stories reveal something profound. Nocturia steals more than rest. It robs relationships, dignity, independence, even identity. That is why this method is not just medical advice. It is a key, a weapon against the thief of the night. But here lies the shadow. Not everyone succeeds. Some apply it halfway and fail. Others improve a little, only to relapse. It is as if an invisible barrier separates those who reclaim their nights from those who remain captives of the dark. I call this barrier the secret limit. It is not about how much you drink, but about respecting a sacred window, a forbidden zone. Cross it, even once, and you sabotage your night. Respect it, and you open the door to full rest. The best metaphor is that of a vault. Picture a heavy, ancient safe holding not gold, but your vitality. It has a 5-number combination. You may dial 4 numbers correctly, but if you fail the 5th, it will never open. That is how this method works. Doing it almost right is worthless. It is all or nothing. A single mistake, a glass too late, the wrong food at dinner, neglecting the bedtime ritual, can unravel everything. This is why so many fail. They look for shortcuts. They apply half the steps. They ignore the sacred window. And then they declare, "Nothing works." But those who commit to the full protocol discover results that seem miraculous, though they are not miracles at all. This method turns invisible gears. Each step is a cog in a machine, and if one cog jams, the wheel stops turning. The water clock is real. It must be obeyed. Front-load hydration. Soften the transition. Stop at the sacred window. Anchor your water with electrolytes. Eat a dinner that does not betray you. These steps may sound like details, but together they form a mechanism as precise as the tumblers in a lock. Align them, and the door to deep sleep swings wide. Think of how many years you have lost, believing that multiple awakenings were inevitable. Think of mornings poisoned before they even began. Days lived in fog, identity eroded by fatigue. Now imagine the opposite, closing your eyes, knowing your body is programmed for silence, that your bladder will not scream false alarms, that your kidneys will not churn like uncontrolled factories. Imagine waking up to realize you have slept 6-7 hours without interruption. Your mind is sharp, your body light, your heart steady. For many, that feels like a miracle, but it is not. It is hidden science, quietly practiced in the shadows. It is the unlocking of the vault, the reclaiming of stolen treasure. And here is the chilling part. You will not see this method on television commercials. You will not find it in pharmacy brochures. It circulates in whispers, in closed circles. Too simple to be taken seriously, too threatening to industries built on restless nights and endless pills. The line between failure and freedom is not luck. It is discipline, knowing the secret limit exists, and respecting it, night after night, until the body remembers what it had forgotten. This is the prison you have lived in. Nights broken, days diminished, identity eroded. But the key has been hidden in plain sight all along. The question is whether you will use it. And this is the secret you are about to uncover. Because there is a full protocol, 5 main steps, reinforced with supporting techniques, that can transform not only your nights, but your entire life. But before I reveal it, you must face the final truth. There is a secret limit that can change everything. And crossing it could mean the difference between a life reclaimed and a life surrendered. The moment has come to keep my promise. What I am about to share is not folklore, not rumor. It is the method, 5 precise steps, that when followed with discipline, can reprogram your body and return your nights. The first step is to front-load hydration. It sounds simple, but it is the cornerstone of the entire system. Most of your water intake must happen in the first half of the day. The rule is non-negotiable. By 4 p.m., you should have consumed at least 70% of your daily fluids. This gives your kidneys time to process during the day, when you are upright and active, not at night, when you should be resting. The second step is to soften the transition. Do not slam the brakes on water abruptly. Between late afternoon and dinner, reduce gradually. A few sips, not full glasses. Think of it like an airplane descending gently before landing. This signals your body that the day is ending, and that it's time to slow production. The third step is to stop on time. This is the sacred window, the secret limit. 2 hours before bedtime, not a single drop. No exceptions. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., your last sip is at 8. Break this rule, even once, and your kidneys will be working when you lie down. And that means a bathroom trip at 2 a.m. is already programmed. The fourth step is the electrolyte anchor. Hydration is not just about drinking water, it's about absorbing it. In your first glass of the morning, add a pinch of unrefined sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. Sodium and potassium help draw water into the cells, making hydration efficient, reducing the thirst that drives late-day mistakes. The fifth step is the intelligent dinner. What you eat at night can sabotage your bladder. Avoid watery foods like soups or melon. Avoid sugar spikes that drive urine production. Avoid alcohol and caffeine that disrupt hormones. Choose lean proteins and cooked vegetables. Give your body stability, not chaos. And then there are 3 supporting techniques that fortify the method. The double voiding ritual. Sit, empty your bladder before bed, wait 1 minute, lean forward, and try again. That second release often empties what was left behind. The gravity elevator. Elevate your legs an hour before sleep, letting daytime fluid drain early, so your bladder doesn't pay the price later. The salt check. Watch processed foods, cold cuts, canned soups. Too much sodium forces your kidneys to pull in water and churn out urine all night. 5 steps, 3 supports. Together, they are the combination that unlocks the vault of your vitality. Those who commit discover what once seemed impossible. Nights without interruption, mornings with energy, days with clarity. I remember a patient who called me after 2 weeks on this protocol. His voice was steady, almost reverent. "Doctor, last night I slept 7 hours straight. I didn't even remember what that felt like. This morning my hands didn't tremble. I went back to my workshop. I'm not just sleeping. I'm alive again. And now, the choice is yours. You can remain captive to fractured nights, or you can apply this protocol and reclaim what time and ignorance have stolen. This is not destiny. It is not age. It is a decision. If this knowledge brought you value, I ask 3 simple things. First, click like, so this video reaches others who need it. Second, subscribe so you don't miss the next secrets of health that can transform your life. And third, write in the comments, "I will apply the method." That phrase is not for me. It is a commitment to yourself, because tonight can be the beginning of a new cycle. The secret limit has been drawn, and only you can decide which side of it you will live on.